Yo, Jesus Luzardo! It is an emergency edition of the IOMS podcast, sponsored by Miller Lite, official partner of the Philadelphia Phillies. Taste like Miller time, Philadelphia. Celebrate responsibly. Fritzy, it only took until December 22nd of the year 2024 to finally get a Dave trade, buddy. No one's talking about Luzardo. No one's thinking about it. Anyone who's listened to this pod for a long time knows how long Jack and I have been Jesus Luzardo men. And just bang, Eagles Day? I don't think so, Dave said. Dave's like, oh, we're done. We're not doing anything else. Bang! Jesus Luzardo obviously giving up Cabo, a legit give up, but blocked. Dude, yes, let's go. Thank you, David. Thank you. How you doing, pal?
It sounds to me that he also was worried about game one of the 2023 wild card round when they went ahead to go against Jesus Luzardo. So Jesus Luzardo is awesome. Like, I mean, when you look at pure stuff, he has some of the best stuff in the league. He's had the best stuff in the league for a long time.
He's the best prospect in the sport at a certain time, you know?
Not always the best thing. Doesn't always work out.
No. But to be fair, for us, we don't ever really get that anyway. So, you know.
Listen, it's as simple as this. Just get guys with talent. Now, he did have back issues last year that severely hampered his season, and he didn't pitch much after June. But I just read an article that 5 days ago said he's feeling perfectly healthy. So it's good. Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's good. But yes, Jesus Luzardo is someone that, I mean, literally heading into last year, I think he might have been number one on my Fritz guys list.
Oh, he was. Hold on. I can actually. So, again, longtime listeners, every year for fantasy baseball, Jack gives me a list of Fritz guys. And for like 4 years running, I'm back-to-back champ in my league. And I have to give at least a little credit to Jack. He's been, like, his hit rate on these is unbelievable. Last year, a particularly great year for what it's worth. But 2 years ago, he sent me his list of Fritz guys, and it's a bunch of names. And at the top of the list, in all caps, it just says Jesus Luzardo. Like, he was the Fritz guy.
Yeah, and he's a power guy that hasn't really even reached his full potential yet. It's crazy, James. He's been around, it feels like, our entire lives, which I know that yours is longer than mine.
Just a bit.
He is 27 years old.
Which physical freak. Like, he is entering the prime of his athletic ability right now.
And what the Phillies did today is, and we'll get into what I think this could mean in a second, but at least as it stands today, that's a super rotation. I mean, Jesus Luzardo is going to be this team's 3. I mean, he could be
Emer Sanchez.
He could be anywhere. And
I mean, that's like without Painter. Yeah, exactly.
It's not about Painter.
Yeah, I know. It's like they're 5 deep with, like, especially, and we'll get to the Ranger of it all, because I think that's what you're alluding to. We'll see what that means. But, like, if they just keep these guys and they ease Painter in, I mean, you're talking about Ranger as your 5, dude. Like, Ranger was the Cy Young front runner halfway through last season. You know, I mean, like, to your point, and it's what I thought about as soon as I saw the trade. You've been saying, and you've been talking more about with the bullpen, but you keep saying, look, with these teams like the Dodgers and the Mets going super team and just spending and adding guys that you can't, like, get exceptional in a certain area, become the best bullpen. And it, like, right now, I mean, I think it's easily, I mean, 1 through 5, I think the best rotation baseball, like the Mariners you put there, but they don't have the 5th like that, especially with Painter when you add in, like, just in terms of upend ability, like, it's a super rotation to your point if they decide to keep Ranger, which we'll get into.
Well, and think about what this Phillies pitching development under Caleb Cotham. I know Brian Kaplan's gone, but they brought someone in who was a lot like Brian Kaplan. And think about what they've been able to do with guys who do not have the stuff of Jesus Luzardo. I mean, look at what they've turned Chris Sanchez into. Sanchez was a cast-off, you know, that came up out of nowhere in 2023 he started against Oakland and then pitched to like 3.5. And they totally changed his career around to where he got an extension. Ranger, like you mentioned before he got hurt last year, was in the conversation for National League Cy Young. And Ranger's never been a super stuff guy. They've been able to work around some of the deficiencies that I guess Ranger has from a pitching standpoint. Jesus Luzardo is 98 on your hands with a hammer slider and a good feel for a changeup. I mean, it
pops.
It's eerily similar. Dare I say, the left-handed version of Zach Wheeler.
Oh no, you didn't. I mean, look, career-wise, there is like less injuries for Luzardo, but like a similar like top tier prospect, has flashes, had really good stretches, but hasn't been able to put a full season together. Right around the same age, Wheeler I think was 28 when they signed him, maybe something like that. Like 29 maybe, like maybe it was in 30. Like this is younger, and still another year of control after this. I think it's 8.5 million for 1 year, and then they got him next year too. Like this is and real quick to the stuff when we saw him, you mentioned watching him live. Like he's one of those guys that when you're in the building for it and you see the stuff live, like it really pops.
And I wouldn't rule out an extension. I mean,
absolutely not. Yeah.
Would assume that he wants to pitch and reestablish his value and then whatever. But regardless, he could be a 2. I mean, he could be a legit number 2 for this team. And it does help you if as Wheeler kind of winds down here, he still has 3 years, so he has this year and then 2 more. Nola, as those guys, he's a decent bridge option with the upside for so much more. And you look at some of the teams, obviously now Soto's in the division, having another lefty that can go against Soto is massive. You look at
Ohtani too,
and Ohtani. Yep. And let's put it this way too. I mean, I think he's going to be an amazing starter. I can't wait to see what they can get out of him. But let's say they have everyone else.
He could close in the playoffs for you without a doubt, dude. He could be an elite 2-inning guy for you. Like, ooh.
100%. He could 100% do that. And while I like Starlin Caba, it was clear that you had to wait for that bat to eventually come around. And who knows if that was going to happen. We know about the feeling. We know he's an 80-grade defensive player. To get a guy, especially what's so crazy about this, James, and I know we're kind of like working our way through this at the same time, but what's so crazy about
this is like the quickest we've recorded after a move happened in a while. Normally we've got like an hour or two at least to kind of, think about it.
But the craziest part about this trade is that look at what other starters are going for, and look at what they're going for in free agency.
Totally. Blake Snell got. I mean,
it feels like an underpay, actually, and that's not saying Starlin Caba.
It totally does. It totally feels like an underpay, dude. Especially with the year control. Jack, this feels like when I checked his contract, I assumed he was heading into free agency after this year.
Me too.
Because I was like, that's what it felt like to me. It was like, oh, Caba for 1 year, Luzardo. Great move. Like, I totally will take that risk. And then I saw you in 2 years. I was like, how? Like, it definitely feels like an underpay.
It does. And especially when you look at and I was obviously a Crochet guy, but Crochet was costing you.
Dude. Miller and Painter, they were at least asking for it. Miller and Crawford to make it happen or whatever. I mean, crazy.
Yeah. So
and look, and Luzardo has Crochet upside. Like maybe Crochet is probably his ceiling is a little higher, but like Luzardo can be that, and he's certainly been more durable than Crochet.
And also, let's put it this way: had this been this time last year, you're paying way more for Jesus Luzardo.
Totally,
way more for Jesus Luzardo. They traded almost nothing, not really nothing, but essentially nothing in the grand scheme of things for a guy who has ace level upside. He has that upside, and if you can settle in the 3.5 and under with a ton of strikeouts, you're getting a damn good pitcher that 2 years ago, I think he finished top 10 in Cy Young. If not, he was in there for a long time. I got very, very good odds.
I had him on fantasy teams because of you, so trust me, I remember he had a great year. He tapered off at the end, but like to your point, like he had like, it wasn't quite what Ranger did last year, but it was like a Ranger-esque first half, it felt like, where he was like awesome.
Totally. So I couldn't be more excited. I could not be more excited to bring him. Yeah, I mean,
especially after the Kepler pod, which can we don't we're not a toot our own horn pod, but I thought for a couple of guys who I like to do bits and not take things too seriously. I thought a really even, measured, rational Phillies podcast after the Kepler pod, but we're like, all right, so this is what it's going to be. And then it's like, bang, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Dave listened to the pod and said, all right, this clearly.
I can't do this, guys. Can't do it.
He listened to the pod and he said, I'm disappointed in them too. And he's like, I got to give them a little bit of something to start feeling like this could be a different kind of year. And listen, I think that, and you mentioned it and we mentioned it last pod, finally building something that is super. You know, the offense, sure. Do we want another bat? I think they'll go get another bat. That's not really they'll find someone to play. Well, I don't know. Maybe they'll get another bat. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I would think they get a right-handed bat. I just don't know if it'll be someone who gets people excited or not.
They're a good offense. You know, they're a good offense. They were top 5 in runs last year, but you know, it didn't feel that way at the end. Bullpen, I would like for them to go get another option back there. What if the big bullpen acquisition, James, is Andrew Painter?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I could see it. I mean, that is a classic thing that teams have done many times. I mean, Wainwright, unfortunately, but I mean, we've seen that happen.
It used to be like a way bigger thing in the
to be a big time
2000s.
Like, let's get this guy. I mean, what's funny is that's what Mariano Rivera was originally the plan with him. He was, in front of Wetland there, but he was a starter, and they were like, oh, we're going to use him here, and then he just became Mariano Rivera. But yeah, I mean, that's a really common thing. Bring up a highly touted prospect, and because of the inning stuff, like let him go be dominant over an inning or two. Fascinating. Let's put it this way. I don't think they're going to look to do it because I think they want to. I think that with Painter, how they've talked about him and they feel about him, what we know his potential to be, I think in their mind, they want to, like, it seems like they want to, like, make him a starter, get him in there when they can, and just kind of move that way. It hasn't seemed like they've been very creative when they've talked about him and all, but I think it's a fascinating thought.
Yeah, well, and it's just trying to find different ways to make different parts of the team good. But yeah, I think they want to develop Andrew Painter as a starter. So I don't think they'll do it. But if they can't go out and, let's say, re-sign Hoffman or something like that, make a different kind of bullpen move. Who knows? Maybe it's something on the table. I really do think, though, I think that Ranger is traded. I think so Rangers.
That's what we. As soon as you said, what's happening next, I knew exactly what you were talking about. My head went there immediately too. Let's talk about it, because I do think the most likely thing is they move Ranger for some sort of either bullpen or bat or combo type thing in a package or whatever. And Painter's your 5, or if he's not quite ready, they Taiwan and others or whatever to start the year, and then go to Painter. But I agree with you. One of my first thoughts when I saw this is I was like, probably not great for Ranger.
Well, listen, Ranger has 1 year left. I don't think they really want to pay him now. At the same time,
especially not now. I mean, yes. I'd rather pay Luzardo than Ranger, right? I mean, Luzardo will probably get more, but still, Well,
and he got signed by Boris, but at the same time,
Ranger you're talking about, yeah,
yes,
I know.
Yes. At the same time, there is also, you're giving up a guy in a contract year that has pitched in a lot of big games for you and is looking to get paid. So you're giving up a guy who should have a good year. I mean, Ranger.
Yeah, he's motivated.
He's motivated. He should have a good year. So you have to balance that out at the same time. But again,
to your point, he is a guy who can pitch big, important innings for you, and that is valuable for this team, trying to win too.
Ranger start against the Mets is still one of the funniest things of the last year. He was horrible.
It really was. But he was horrible, and yet the craftiest outing I've ever seen. Just guts and guile. Got outs, man. He got outs.
And then they put Jeff Hoffman out there for the second inning, and that turned out to be a bad idea. The second inning,
it wasn't. Everyone's
Crazy.
Like, "Oh, well, Ranger." Blah. It's like if they just hadn't put up, but whatever. I can't.
I know. Should have been Sanchez. Should have been Sanchez.
Jeff, enjoy signing with the Angels to be a starter and never being heard from again. We love you, buddy.
Well, I hope he's back, but
obviously,
with Ranger, yeah, I just to be able to trade him for maybe a bat right now and go that route. Add another piece to this lineup, and just try to round out the edge of this thing. when they were on Crochet this whole offseason or whatever, the fact that they wanted another starter, I think they wanted another starter this whole offseason. It felt like a
Yes,
precursor
very clearly. Yeah, they were in on Crochet from the jump, and then they traded for like a cheaper but better version potentially of Crochet. Yes,
sure. So yeah, I think this could lead to a Ranger traded for a bat kind of move, and we'll see. But either way, I'm just so relieved that they're not just, this is fine, we'll win.
Well, especially after we literally finished the pod, and what was it, like an hour later, Dave's talking and saying like, we're done, guys. Nothing to see here. Can't spend any money. We're out, And I do think the money thing is part of it. Like they've talked about too much on that. But look, and I don't love that, but if it's a reset and then you go back to spending and whatever, like they've spent a lot of money. I'm not going to rip Middleton at any point for money right now. But if you are going to have any sort of financial implications with what you do, like this was a freaking brilliant move to upgrade your roster, to go get a guy who's making $8.5 million this year, like who could potentially be a key piece in you winning a World Series theoretically. I mean, that's damn good stuff, man. Damn good stuff.
It is. And they didn't sit on their hands, and it just leads me to believe, okay, can they get one other move done? Can they get? And I will say, this is now the third straight signing this offseason. No one
mentioned. Yep. Totally.
No one saw Kepler. No one saw Romano.
All three names were not linked to the Phillies at all at any point.
Not even on our stupid perfect off seasons, which continue to be a waste of time for everyone involved. But I do not care. They'll be done until the end of this podcast if that ever happens.
They're motivational. They're motivational. It's just to get Dave thinking and to get him going a little bit and to see what could be.
God, dude, Jesus Luzardo,
I'm
man.
so excited. So fun, dude. What a fun, a fun move. Like we haven't had many, and we both like the Kepler and Romano signings in a vacuum. And that's why we're like, if this is it, like not inspiring, but like, I like these moves. When he does this, now it makes me like those moves even more. I like the whole encompassing thing of it all. And this is an actual exciting move.
Might be the biggest, most interesting trade Dave's made.
Yeah, it's the Dave trade. Yeah, it absolutely is.
And
I think he got as much for Starlin Caba as he could. Like he maximized Starlin Caba's value.
Dude, so I was in a group text this morning, and someone put in there Luzardo, and I begrudgingly opened my Twitter app or X app, and and I was like, where'd he go? Is he a Cub?
Right. I bet he's a Yankee or something, right? Yeah. The Mets. Steve Cohen went and got Luzardo. Great. Cool. Thanks, man.
I bet some other team made some fun move, and then it was Bills, and I haven't smiled that much since Harper's home run in Game 2.
That's why I appreciate you who let me know, texting me with the Luzardo exclamation points all caps. So it's like, in this case, I'm assuming it's not Steve Cohen when I see the excited text, so for other text messengers in the future, like, don't make people sweat. Okay.
Well, and extra shout out to Dave, knowing that baby number 2 could be coming any day now.
Oh, buddy.
Making sure that we at least got Luzardo in the fold.
So that, where are we at? Is Jesus Fritz on the table or... No, it's Christmas time. like Jesus feels like an appropriate name, Jesus Fritz. Jesus Fritz.
And he's been one of my babies for a long time.
Forever, yes.
And now it
makes more sense than naming him Juan Fritz. That was just a bit like Jesus Fritz is like meaningful.
Yeah. And then he goes out and pitches to an ERA over 5 and has back issues, and he never gets brought up ever again. So, but man, it's a great day. It's a great day. It's a great freaking day, man. They got a guy with legitimate ace level upside. They built a super rotation, and if they're gonna listen, more starting pitching's never the worst thing in the world.
Totally. Especially if they don't trade Ranger, fine. You know what I mean? Fine.
I'm not dying to trade Ranger, by the way. I just think that I think that there's a high likelihood he's out of here. So, man, they got better today, and they moved their needle forward. And people are like, there's so many not needle moving moves. This is a legitimate a legitimate needle mover. So, man, happy Sunday.
Well, and it's a legitimate needle mover while like the risk reward is so freaking high. It's not like, yeah, giving Juan Soto $765 million, that moves the needle, but you're still giving the guys $51 million a year for the next 15 years. Like, they traded up a really nice prospect, but a guy you can't hit. We've seen that the great fielder can't hit thing a lot recently at a position that's blocked. Like, it just feels like he took a not because Cub wasn't a distressed asset, but like impeded, a blocked, an asset that wasn't as good an asset for you as it could be for someone else, and maximized it into something just like so much more than I thought he could get back for it. It's awesome.
Yeah. And stop looking at his numbers last year. Okay.
Yeah, go back.
Go back. Take a deep breath. He's
watch
healthy.
videos. Just go on and like search like Twitter for Jesus of like Luzardo pitching ninja stuff or whatever that's out there. Like, he's nasty, dude.
It's
nasty.
awesome. It's a good move.
Awesome.
It's a good move. So,
Yay!
Didn't anticipate an emergency pot on this.
I'm
Sunday
so
morning,
excited. I didn't either. I'm so happy. All right. We'll be back if they make a move. If not, happy holidays to everyone. I hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of it, whatever you celebrate. Obviously, we'll be back, and I think there'll be more moves. I don't know if they'll be like this will probably be the biggest needle mover, but there'll be fringe moves coming. There'll be maybe a Ranger trade. Bowman's still out there. It's going to be fascinating. So we'll have a lot to talk about. And and by the way, a warm and happy wish of luck and goodbye to High Hopes Night in Wilmington star Marion Boyd. He made two unbelievable catches in that game we went down to. So good luck, Marion. I hope it works out well. Yeah.
He's going to cover a lot of ground down there in Miami.
That's right. And that huge outfield out there. Yeah.
For 5,000 fans.
All right. We will be back, Dave, if Dave wants us to. Otherwise, we'll be back after the holidays. But let's freaking go, baby.